And a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to Fairway to Heaven Masters Week. It's the greatest week in the golfing world. I am so excited to be here. Look, we got a couple of us right there on the grounds at Augusta National live this week, plus Jason in his apartment. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel at Beard of Knowledge. We got Jason, J Sully 2121, and joining us back from, I don't know, from a world where we haven't seen him in a while, Mr. Rob, DFS RC Gilt, my man. How you doing tonight? And thank you for coming back on after I know you've had a very busy life the last year or so. You're not doing the podcasting and commentary game as much anymore, but we're really glad that you've decided to come back out for Masters Week this week.
Well, thanks, Phil and Jason. And yeah, just thanks for having me on. Still like the leader in the clubhouse for the podcast name, Fairway to Heaven. I remember first time on your show, I think it was actually 2 years ago. So I didn't really do this last year. So I want to say 2 years ago. And
Wow.
I mentioned that's an elite name, and it still is. And like a great show. So I really appreciate the space and the time. I miss, there it is. I miss collaborating with you all and a few others. So this is I've been looking forward to this. So very much big thanks for having me on.
And Rob, I don't know if you realize this, but the LIV Tour, and we're going to talk about LIV a lot tonight. The LIV Tour copied our name, and they have the official LIV YouTube account has a Fairway to Heaven show now every single week. That's what that shirt was that I put up there. I created a shirt, the original, just so you know.
The original.
We are the original, not the copycat, like the copycat LIV League.
And copycat in a few ways, but that's has to be some copyright infringement, right? I mean, the people at Fairway to Heaven need to reach out to LIV here.
I have literally called them out like a dozen times, no response. I wouldn't, expect, anything from them. Jason, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, buddy. This is the best week of the year. Like you said, it just feels different. Like as soon as you wake up and it's Masters Monday and you get the pricing's already out and everything, it's just a different feel. It's just I just love this week.
Dude, I have literally my entire house packed up because we're moving, Rob. We're moving this week, my wife and I. And the only thing not packed up is my laptop to do this show and my Masters green jacket. That is the only thing not packed up in this house right now. That's how excited I am for this.
Well, I tell you what, on the Masters app, each day I get more excited because I don't know if you log in and they have like Monday at the Masters, Tuesday at the Masters, and those videos, the whole social media game for Augusta National and the Masters is incredible. But those like really get you in your feels, at least for me. And so kind of echoing you both, this is the best week of the year, best time of the year. And now excited to talk some golf and hopefully win some money this weekend.
Yep. You mentioned the Masters app, and I've said it before on this show countless times. Jason and I have had a lot of conversations about how golf needs, some changes, obviously. There's a lot of things going around. But one of the best parts about Masters Week, outside of the golf itself, is the fact that their app is fantastic. And how has the PGA Tour not taken a page out of the Masters app and developed their own app to be equally as good? You would think they'd be able to do that, right?
One would think.
That's a pretty easy answer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the coverage of it is great.
I mean, Jason, I'm curious to hear what you think, but I got PGA, we would think they would do a lot of things better, especially in the last 2 years. But they never cease us to surprise us with some of the decision-making or lack thereof.
No, I think Phil said it too. I think Phil said it. You said it exactly right. It's just like, why is this week's app and coverage and everything so great? Why is there such a gap? Like, I understand this is the biggest week of the year. By all means, it should be given the attention that it deserves. But why is there such a big gap for everything else?
It's like it really doesn't make too much sense that they can't. I mean, the golf in general. I mean, you've seen some of the ratings go down for the PGA Tour this year and last year. LIV cannot gain any momentum. This is that first chance for everyone back together. There's a few less LIV guys this year than there was last year, obviously. But this is an opportunity for everybody's eyes to be on the game of golf again. And there's still too much turmoil and too many questions like that floating around. Golf should be capitalizing this week, not, having enemies. I don't know if that's the right term there. Not bickering and stuff like that. And I don't think that they're doing it well enough job of it.
Yeah, I'd agree. And it is an enemy. I mean, the PGA Tour or LIV is an enemy to the PGA Tour. I mean, you could sugarcoat it, how Rahm is kind of doing and his press conference today, or was that yesterday? But yeah, and that's frustrating. You hear people like Bryson as well who saying, yeah, now we need to come together. But if you never left, there's no reason to come together. And so it's disrupting golf. And they have talked about it. Phil has honestly and openly about, hey, this is good for golf, this disruption. But no, it's good if you take the money bags. But now if you're wanting to say, oh, we need to come together now, and you can't have both ways, and it is an enemy, and nobody is happy. Golf ratings are plummeting, like we talked about. So yeah, I think you're spot on.
I mean, last week's event, the Valero. I mean, it was a great Sunday. You had some big names in the field and in the event, Rory, Fitzpatrick, etc. Yet I think I saw the ratings. It was one of the lowest ratings, in the last 5. I think Sunday only got like 2 million views or something like that, which in the grand scheme of things is nothing compared to what they usually get. That it's just frustrating for a game that we all love to watch, play, talk about, gamble on, and stuff like that they can't come together a little bit better. Jason?
I think part of it too, Sunday, was the Caitlin Clark playing in the national championship game. That wasn't ideal to go against that, because I think they had like 18 million viewers or something like that. But I think you both kind of brought up good points. It's fractured, and nobody knows what to say. Nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I think that's the biggest thing. It's not like, okay, we're split now, but we're going to merge in 6 months, or we're going to merge in 4 months, or whatever. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what to say. Bryson's, like Rob just brought up, like Bryson came out and said, like, we need to get back together. Well, we wouldn't have had to get back together if you didn't go. But I don't know. It's a tricky spot.
Yeah. Well, we've got a very jam-packed. I mean, Adam's asking a lot of questions about the favorites and all this week. So, I mean, we can look at the favorites in the top of the board. Obviously, Scottie Scheffler won this event 2 years ago. Best player in the world, hands down. Figured out his putting. Looking to get his title back. Jon Rahm, the next favorite in this event, who won it last year, has been gone on LIV and been playing well. Rob, we'll start with you since you're the guest today. When you look at the top of the board, Scottie, Jon Rahm, obviously the narrative of Rory trying to complete his career Grand Slam. Where are your eyes looking, and what are your feelings? Gut, not the statistics, the gut on those top few guys there, and who has the best chance to succeed this week?
Well, yeah, the gut and the head are pretty much aligned with Scottie, but that's not going to be earth-shattering. It's kind of not sexy. So I'm not going to talk much about Scottie, but I want to just remind. Well, so I'm a DFS guy. So within DFS, you're playing 2 games right now. You're playing the game of trying to handicap the golf tournament, and then you're playing the other game trying to handicap the actual DFS tournament that you're in. And so GPP is what I play in the mass multi, and so in that, I have 2 different maybe heads within it. My contrarian ass wants to almost say, yay, like full fade on Scottie. But then the golf handicap says he's the best player in the world, and he's the best player in the world by far. We haven't seen some of his numbers like since we've seen with Tiger. And so they're going to be in the middle. I'll have some ownership. But like with any kind of golf tournament, you have to make large opinions. The statement of scared money don't make money is so true. So it's scary to be full fades on people, but you have to form strong opinions in DFS kind of week to week. And so the Rahm and Rory, I'm going to have to pick between one of the 2, and I'm kind of leaning to Rory, and that could be some bias to the PGA Tour in last week, and I'm a Rory guy. But a person, and I'm curious to see what you both think, that I am a full fade on is Brooks, and we know his kind of legacy and majors, and he hasn't won the Masters yet, but has some pretty good course history. He shows up, he talks about how he only gets up from the majors, and he's backed it up, frankly. But this is a subjective response, but I'm not sure how sustainable that is. As you get older, I just feel like the game has to be sharpened kind of earlier, and it takes more work. And it's just, unsustainable to show up to a major and say, I'm going to play well this week, compared to, what did he shoot, like +7 at Doral? Something crazy like that. Now he is moving putters around too. It's just not the kind of Brooks I would want to play. And I don't think he's going to be so high owned, but you can't play all 4 guys at the top of the board, 5 if you include Wyndam and the 10K mark. So going to make some stands. Definitely fading Brooks. And then I'm going to have to choose between Rahm or Rory. Can't play both because I want to be overweight on one of the two, and it probably will be Rory. But curious to see if you all think I'm right or if I'm sniffing something. So like, tell me where I'm right or wrong.
Before Jason answers this, I want to throw answer your question with a question. And I think that this week's event, the Masters, which is so predicated on, course history, nobody's ever won here their first time. I saw a stat on Ron Klaus's page that the last 18 winners were not the betting favorite. But yet again, everybody is 27 years or older that wins it. They played here before and all that stuff. I try to not, directly mimic my betting and DFS card, but I try to find some similarities and some missed prices, betting and DFS wise. Based off of that, this week when it's the Masters, guys that are on my betting card normally don't make it to my DFS card because I'm just trying to bet 3 or 4 guys because there's 89 guys here. Is there really more than 10 or 12 guys that actually have a chance at winning? So I'm trying to differentiate between who has the best chance at winning to bet, and in DFS separate it for some differences. Trying to play a contrarian thing here. I mean, what 60% of the field, 70% of the field makes the cut every single year at the Masters. So that's the theory I'm going into this week's event with. Jason, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think that's a great point that you just brought up, and I tend to agree with both of you right now. I mean, the Brooks thing is scary. I mean, a guy that's switching his putter, a guy that's typically been a pretty good putter, especially, in the bigger events, he's been an awesome putter. Switching his putter scares me. Obviously, his last appearance also scares me a little bit. And kind of the same thing with Rahm. Like, Rahm has not been good. I don't know if it's the curse of winning his first green jacket, but I don't think he's won. I might be wrong, but I don't think he's won in the past year since the Masters. Yeah. So I don't like his game where his game's headed either. And it's easy to pick Scottie. I mean, you can't really fault anybody that goes with Scottie. Obviously, his ownership's going to be really high, but I think it's Rory for me too. And that's a little bit scary to say at Augusta. But
yeah, I mean, would you feel, guys? I mean, Rory, I would feel more comfortable playing Rory on the DFS side of things than betting him at his number because he is going to be there. I know he missed the cut. What was it, last year or 2 years ago here? But for the most part, last year he missed the cut. I mean, he's a top 10 guy at the Masters most of the time. I don't know. I don't feel confident betting, but I would feel more confident, on the DFS side with him. Does it make sense where my mind is going to try to be different here?
Oh yeah, very much so. You have the right mindset comparing when you're just betting outrights or top 20s or matchups, whatever, you just are playing the one game, which is golf handicapping. And then DFS, you throw in the wrench of, okay, who are these other people going to play? And that's exactly what you're talking about and spot on. Now, I'm wondering where Rahm's ownership might be trending. And it's hard to say. And it's going to be condensed because it's a smaller field, but the only real way I might play Rahm if he's maybe half the ownership of Rory, which might be the case. And so then I'll reevaluate. But to answer your question, yeah, I think you're spot on.
So on the ownership, now fantasynational.com, a partner of the show, their ownerships, they're confusing me this week because I know it's only Tuesday. It's 7:00. We've still got, 36 hours till lineups lock and all. Right now, they got Jon Rahm sitting at 12.5% ownership, but Scottie Scheffler at 22. And when that jumps off at me, either A, that's telling me everybody's off on Rahm for the wrong reasons, or I should be that different person. But personally, I don't see 22 Scheffler, 12 Rahm holding up long term. I think Rahm's numbers got to go up much higher than that as we get closer to the event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point for sure. I don't know. People are off a little bit on Rahm, though. I think he hasn't been as good for the past year, and people don't win 2 times in a row. It's my birthday.
It's your birthday?
Happy birthday.
It's one of my best friend's birthdays. Sorry, I got a lot going on, Jason. Happy birthday to you, man.
Thanks, shout out to Jamie Lynn for giving the birthday shout out.
She's over in this room over here, so yeah, she's here. No, but she's a good one. No, but I mean, I just think that I kind of forgot what I was going to say. Oh, Rahm, just I could see Rahm's ownership being maybe half of what Scottie is because of exactly what we said. He hasn't won in the past year. He doesn't seem super motivated. He's I don't know if confused is the right word, but he almost seems like the most confused out of any of these guys. I thought we were going to merge. What are we doing here? Like, I don't know if he's focused necessarily on his game right now.
Rob,
I know I think big. Rahm's ownership will be half of Scottie. I mean, Scottie's probably coming in at near, like, if I had to guess right now, like, I'd say 32 to 35%, like that high. And so if Rahm is like 16%, like, yeah, I could see that. And now is Scottie twice as more likely to win than Rahm? Like, maybe so. And so you got to make that decision. So I cut you off, Phil. So I apologize.
No. I was going to ask you about, because I know, because I kind of try not to be contrarian at the top of the board. I try to stick to who the best of the best every time I look at the top. But at the Masters, it's hard because it's such a strong field. Do you, because, smaller field, 20, 25% is typically the top owned guy. When you get to the Masters, 89 guys, there's 10 or 15 that have no shot. So you're really picking from 70 guys. What's your max level that scares you away on an ownership? Let's say someone like Scottie Scheffler or something like that, that would say, all right, that's too much. I got to go elsewhere.
That's a good question, and this is not going to be a good answer. It just kind of depends, because you look at like something like Showdown, and I'll say like round 3 Showdown, where you have, let's say 70 guys that make the cut. And if you have a Scottie Scheffler and his live stats are like out of the ballpark, he might actually be like 45% owned in Showdown. And I still kind of might play him and say you have to get creative elsewhere. But that is in just small cases. Like, Scottie is an outlier. Now, if what happens a lot, like we might get Hideki Matsuyama at 22, 25% in that range, and then that makes the people around them half of that. That is where, okay, a golfer like Hideki, that is way too much for me. And could he win? Sure. But I'm focused, and Jason and I talk about this a lot, like focus on the process over like the specific results. And playing like a high volatile golfer like Hideki at that high ownership, you're just not going to be profitable long term. Now, again, it can be situational with each tournament, but Scottie's different. Top of the board's different. I'm like you, Phil. I spread more at the top. Depends on the tournament, but this is one of those weeks, and I'll get creative in the middle of the road here. But someone like Hideki, that's around like 20-something%, that's too rich for my blood, and I'll pass.
Okay, so we've looked at most of it. We've talked Rory, we've talked Brooks. Guys, do you think they got the pricing right? And I want to throw Wyndam Clark's name in here, because a couple of weeks ago, Jason and I mentioned Wyndam Clark. He's finally starting to get some of the pricing respect that he deserves. Being a 10K guy on DraftKings, that's at the Masters, that's a big deal, being a top 5 guy. Yet on the betting board, he's still only 45 to 1 to win. So he's not getting the love on the betting side, but on the DFS side he is. Is there anybody that should be priced higher or lower, or that doesn't deserve this top 5 ranking in this group?
I'd almost like to see Scottie bumped a little higher. I know that seems ridiculous because he's the highest guy on the board, but like,
right,
to truly make us make a decision, and to see his ownership not be like Rob was saying, like 32 to 35, that's a lot. It's like, we kind of said a couple weeks ago, I think it was Houston, where like wasn't the best fit for Scottie, and him being the course fit for him, and him being like 35, 40%, that was an easier fade, I feel like. Now it's like we're at the point where this course is like, obviously he's proven that he can win here, but it's also like the course fits him really well. All the things he does well, it's a little bit different, but I don't know. It's interesting.
Rob, how do you feel about the pricing of those top 5 guys?
Yeah, I like the pricing. I just don't think you can put Wyndham ahead of Brooks because of Brooks' major record. Wyndham is a major winner. Shopley's not. Same thing with Neiman, Hovland. People below him outside of speed. So yeah, I think you got Clark priced right, and everybody above him priced right. I was a little surprised to see like Rory so close with Rahm. So what are they, $300 difference? That's like a little surprising. But maybe it's, I guess, well, they released these prices before the Valero last week. So yeah, I got a little surprised on that, but I think they got it right for the most part.
Okay. All right. So we dropped down the 9K. Obviously, everybody DFS wise always loves Xander in the Masters. He never wins, but he always puts out great efforts. It's the first real question of LIV comes in the 9K with Joakim Neiman, who's won, I believe, I can't find my note on it. I believe he's won 3 of his last 7 tournaments he's played in, which is pretty amazing considering that his ownership right now on Fantasy National is still pretty low. It's sub 15% right now. But the 9K is loaded. And, if you're playing Scottie, if you're playing John Rahm or Brooks Koepka or whoever up there, it makes some of these 9K guys very tough to handle in your lineups. Rob, we'll start with you again. If you had to pick one of these guys in the 9K range that you're really zoning in on, that you think not just as a good play, but really has a good shot at making a deep run, who would it be?
Yeah, first I might say who I don't think, or maybe who's overpriced. I'm gonna take a little bit of your previous question, and that is Neiman. Like, so surprising at his number. And so yeah, he's won a lot, a couple times on the LIV, and I maybe remembering. I think it's like the Australian PGA or something, and then
He
once
won
on the
once on the
Asian Tour.
World
So,
Tour, and twice on LIV, and a couple other top tens and stuff like that.
yeah, so sure. So yeah, definitely kind of won all over the world, but to be kind of 9,600 and ahead of like some names like Hovland, Cantlay, and Spieth, don't like that. Now I don't know what I'm going to do with him. Right now he's starred on Fantasy National, but we'll see how that goes. But actually, I really like Hovland, and I like him for a DFS perspective, not a betting perspective. I kind of see Hovland as this mad scientist. We all know now, reading more about how he keeps changing his swing coaches, and now he went back to the previous one, and he's tinkering, hasn't played well late. But when you see these top guys like Hovland and Cantlay, maybe they have a little Brooks in them where they tinker, and in the Masters, it's time to kind of focus in. So I think we're going to get a huge ownership discount on Hovland compared to previous years in the Masters. I just think this is Hovland's nature. I mean, him changing a swing coach, he's never settled. It's not what I want to see in a golfer, so I'm not betting. But this is the ownership discount and price below Neiman. I think, that is interesting. Hovland has win equity, and I think more. And I would really want to get your all's opinion. Out of any major, I think Hovland has more win equity than Neiman ever will. And so now we're getting a slight price, but maybe ownership discount on Hovland, who has more win equity to win majors than Neiman. Yeah, I really like Hovland. And yeah, could he miss the cut because his irons are all over the place? Sure, but he could easily contend and nobody would be surprised. But what do you all think?
Jason?
I completely agree with that. I actually thought, I was surprised that I've listened to probably 6 different podcasts, and I was just surprised at how many people were off Hovland. I mean, obviously his game hasn't been great, like Rob said, but I mean, of that, he's in like that weird price point too. It's like everybody's kind of attracted to the lower 9Ks with Spieth and those guys, and then the upper 9Ks with Scheffler. But I feel like he's like Rob said, his win equity is just like, if there's a guy that can turn it on, it's him. And like, I feel way more comfortable playing him in any major, especially at Augusta. I mean, that's the thing with Neiman, I think, is lost. And yeah, he's been great on LIV, but his major record over the course of his career, which isn't a long career, obviously, he's better now than he's ever been, but his major record is not good. And so I was actually hoping and praying that Hovland was low owned, because I think that's going to be a great play this week. And I'm even comfortable like starting a lineup with maybe Hovland and Spieth, or Hovland and another 9K guy to be a little contrarian.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those guys. You guys have just talked about the same thing, and I'm one of those guys that has been scared away from Victor Hovland. I was more looking towards Patrick Cantlay, who right now is, sub 5% projected. Everybody's hating on Patrick Cantlay this week. And the guy has solid numbers at the Masters. He's still a great player. I know his game hasn't been elite or anything like that lately, but when you can get Hovland at sub 10%, when you can get Patrick Cantlay at sub 10%, I think either of those are better plays than Neiman. Either of those, you can maybe make an argument that either of those guys are a better match. Like if you wanted to start a lineup, just say Scottie Scheffler and then go Hovland. Would you feel more confident in being different with Scottie Scheffler at his high price and Victor Hovland? Or would you be more confident with Scottie Scheffler and say like a 25% own Xander Schauffele? You know what I mean? Like you can definitely differentiate yourself. And I know, Rob, you said that Hovland could miss the cut, but the odds are in this field, the small field with the number of guys that make it through the weekend, you're not taking that big of a chance at Hovland missing the cut, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so this is what I'm about to say is something I've yet to see on any podcast or any reading, and it's like so important for the Masters specifically, is that you're looking at total fantasy points, so DK points, versus just straight finishing position, and they typically go hand in hand. But I want to give you an example. But I guess before I do that, if you're playing large entry, like mass multi-entry GPPs, the difference this week, because it's a smaller field, between first and like 15th could be just 1 point. And then there's like tenths of a point that could separate in the top 15. So I want to give you an example. At the Valero last week, Jordan Spieth going into round 4, I want to say was like in 13th place, but he was the 4th or 5th highest DK point earner going into round 4. Now that was because he's had a couple eagles and a hole-in-one, but it comes to the point, and this is one reason why Tony Finau always shows up on DK points, is because of the birdie machine and able to kind of score better, get the 3 birdies in a row, get the eagles. That is really going to add up at a tournament like the Masters. And so people are handicapping like, you know what, like Neiman might finish 7th and Hovland could finish 11th. And sure, but Hovland could still actually outscore Neiman. He's a better birdie getter and gets hot easier. And so when you're looking at that, that could be the difference. Even though that Neiman finishes higher, having Hovland, who might theoretically score more DK points, could separate you from finishing 15th or 1st. And so you're not just looking at what a lot of people do as where they're going to finish. You're looking at total DK points. And in a small field like this, on Sunday night, when you scroll to the top of your GPP, you're going to see first and like 2nd or 3rd, and then like 20th is separated by so little. And so those margins are going to come in handy this week.
Is that, the way you're going into the points and all, the way you're explaining it, I saw somebody, I forget who, I didn't write down who, so this is not for my information, that, we all know par 5 scoring is very, very critical, at the Masters. Since 2009, 72% of the output from the winners came from par 5 scoring. And in the last 3 years, over 90% of the output, the scoring for the winners have come on the par 5s. So, DraftKings points and par 5 scoring, does that just up your board a little bit more thinking that way?
I think so. What do you think, Jason?
I think so too. It's funny that you said that. So I had a buddy that he's really like into like the number side of everything, right? And so he told me that same exact thing probably like, I don't know what it was, like 4 or 5 months ago. And he's like looking into like he's starting his own website. So he's looking into like he wants to do something that's different, right? And he's like, he always asks me every week, what stats are you using? What stats are you using? And then he's like, one day he's just like, why are we not using DK points in every event? He goes, that is the point, right?
Yeah.
So you should be looking at DK points, not just this week, but every week, like, and similar like comp courses and things like that. It's like, it's such a simple way of thinking about things, but like we're looking to see who scores the most points. I don't care if you like Rob just said, like, I don't care if you're in 13th, if you score the 4th most points, like it makes no difference. So that's a great point, I think, for sure.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts with any of these other names, guys? Will Zalatoris was a rising name for a while. He's kind of leveled off. Hideki has played great. We were all scared of his back last week, but that didn't really seem to hurt him. You got Aubert, down in this bottom range. Any of those names interest you guys at all?
I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on Xander. Like I'm seeing him 25% ish right now. I want to see what you guys thought about playing Xander at that price. Or, I mean, at that ownership.
Yeah, I'm playing Xander. I like that he went away from his dad as swing coach, and now I don't know his dad, but has a real one. And yeah, this kind of seems a little bit more locked in. Good form that he's in. Also like Aubert. The norm, or not the norm, I guess it is kind of the norm, because no debutante has won since I think like Fuzzy Zeller or something like that. But we see the debutantes in the Masters, their first Masters, playing better, like Cam Young, Willie Z. And so I'm less worried about that. I think Aubert has win equity. I didn't like how he finished Sunday last weekend in Texas, but I'm high at him at 9,100.
Yeah, I mean, again, though, we just said, we're talking about DraftKings points. We're talking about winning a GPP.
Right.
Having that win equity is one thing, but we don't need them to win if their ownership is right and whatnot. We just want them to score. Right. So, like, everybody seems to be talking about betting Xander this week. I can't get myself to bet Xander. I just looked before the show. He's still only 14-1 to win. There's no upside to that. But I would am I crazy, guys? And you can both answer this. Am I crazy? I'd rather play a 25% Xander than a 30% Scottie Scheffler this week. Because his top 10, he's going to there's he's going to hit that top 10 number. He's going to score on the par five. Scottie probably will too, but that 5% difference right there might be the difference, in winning or not.
That's a good point. No, that's really good. It's an interesting way to think about it too. I think. Oh, sorry. That's an interesting way to think about it too. I think because that's a good question because of the difference in salary. I mean, like you're talking almost
it's a lot. We're talking a lot. You're talking
you're talking a lot of money difference. I mean, I was questioning how I felt about playing Xander, but you guys are both bringing up some good points.
I mean, you play Xander over Scottie, that can eliminate you having to play an Eric Van Rooyen or Keegan Bradley or a Steven Yeager. That could save you one click on one of those bottom guys, and then we'll get into the 7K range later. Someone like you could change lineups from Yeager to Fitzpatrick, that quickly by going from Scottie Scheffler to Xander. So what would make you feel more confident, Scottie Scheffler and say someone in the 6K, or Xander and going to the mid upper 7Ks? You got to think about that, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like for Scottie, based on his salary and ownership, and this is a big what if. It's depending on a number of factors, like who wins if Scottie doesn't. But if Scottie finishes third and Xander, is like seventh, depending on DK points, it's still like you still might have an edge. Again, you probably will need the winner. But if it comes from like, let's say you go like Xander and Sam Burns and someone with Scottie and Sam Burns, again, a lot of what ifs, but you might still have the leverage in the four other golfers because of the high ownership and the less likely, based on the lower ownership of salary they'll have left, that you could have more of an upside in that lineup, even though Scottie finishing maybe ahead of kind of Xander. So I don't know if that makes sense, but with Scottie at such a high salary and such a high projected ownership, you're kind of saying that you need him to win. While with Phil, what you're saying with Xander, you don't. Yeah, you need him maybe to definitely top 10, maybe top 5, but you don't need him to win, like you were saying.
That's just the way I'm looking at it. You did mention, Rob, a name that I think that a lot of people are passing over, and I know he's only played here twice. He's had one missed cut, one top 25. It's just a guy that I think that should always do well at the Masters. It hasn't done well, but he's played decent golf, inconsistent but decent, in that 8K range. That's Sam Burns. I would love to build a lineup with Xander at 25% and Sam Burns at 5 or 6%. Like that would be something that my eyes would be, and my confidence level would be completely confident in going and starting a lineup with those two names. Jason, what are your thoughts on Sam Burns? I know I just skipped over almost the entire 8K range, and we'll get back to because you got a bunch of LIV guys that I think could win in that 8K range. But Sam Burns' name got mentioned, and I love Sam Burns. So, thoughts on him this week, Jason?
No, he's definitely one of my favorite plays in this range too. This is probably the most interesting range on the board. I feel like there's a lot of guys that you see like you want to play like in your head, but then it's like there's question marks about all these guys. I mean, we've seen Justin Thomas be a little hit and miss. Obviously, he has great course history here. DJ's been a little bit off, it seems like, but maybe his win in Vegas gets him going a little bit. Cam Smith, obviously great course history, hasn't been as good recently on LIV. Then Morikawa, who doesn't seem like he would be a fit at this course at all, that has really good course history. So this is interesting. I'm gravitating a little bit towards Lowry, probably. Obviously Finau because of his history here. And then I'm not sure at the top of the board. I want to see what your guys' thoughts are on the top of the board in the 8Ks.
Rob, I'm going to rephrase the question a little differently for you in this 8K range. I am looking at a lot of the LIV guys. I'm more confident in betting. I love Cam Smith. He's one of my favorite golfers. Was sad to see him leave for LIV, but I don't watch LIV. I'm not confident in where his game is, but at 30-1, I have no problem. Bryson at 40-1, sure, I have no problem betting it, but I can't get myself to play heavy usage of those 8K LIV guys, him, Dustin Johnson, and those names. So are you in or out on the LIV guys, especially in that range, but also those other names that we've talked about in that range? Your thoughts on them?
Yeah, great question. So some of the LIV guys I'm in, some I'm out. I'm unsure with Cam Smith right now, but I really like DJ, and I really, really like Bryson. Bryson, I think, might be actually in my top 5 of my ownership in my player pool. So really high on Bryson. Also high on JT. I'm not worried to switch the bones. Again, we haven't seen the typical JT form, but 8,700. That's his kind of a low in a major I can kind of remember of JT. And he's played progressively better at the Masters, has an elite short game, and you're going to need that around here, especially with Thursday and Friday with the wind. You're going to miss greens, and if you miss in the wrong place, you better have a short game to get it close. So I really like JT. But yeah, the LIV guys, Bryson and DJ, very, very high on. But this AK range, like I'm big on the Irish Bear, Shane Lowry too. But yeah, the 7 and 8K range is where I'm going to make a lot of strong opinions and just hope that I'm right.
Can on this 8K range, and he got added to my player potential pool, my starred list, whatever you want to call it, late once I saw the weather report. Max Homa, not great lately this year, not a very Max Homa year, but he's a grinder. He's won a lot of low, he doesn't win events at 22 under. When he wins, he's in that 8, 11 under. He has no problem winning in bad weather and stuff like that. It is going to be windy. I never thought I'd see the day of an 8,300 Max Homa ever again. And I want to convince myself to get off of Max Homa because of how he's played this year. But then I see that price and that ownership, and I'm like, how can I stay away from Max Homa? Or is it just worth the risk there because, in a field this size, the odds are he's making the cut, and then he could score come the weekend. Jason, what are your thoughts on Max Homa?
He's another win equity guy, and I played a lot of him last week, thinking I was smarter than everybody else. And I thought it was working at the beginning when he was, I think he was T2 after the first round, and I was so pumped. And it ended up finishing 25th, which is okay. But I don't know. I just feels like his game's a little off too, and it's hard to pinpoint. It's like his win equity is there. He's more talented than everybody in that lower range, but I feel like something's a little off with him. But at the same point, if he's your third golfer in, you're feeling pretty good about that.
And also think of it this way: he's played the Masters 4 years in a row. 43rd, 48, missed cut. He's not played Augusta well.
No.
Yeah, I prefer actually Max, and this is going to sound weird. Like Augusta is a very difficult golf course, but it's difficult in a unique way. I prefer Max Homa, let's say, on traditional tough golf courses. So like tree line, tight, where ball striking, hitting fairways is key. And he's won on easy courses. I know, like he's won the fall swing at it used to be the Fries, it's a Fortinet, whatever it is. Anyway, so he's won on easy courses, but I really prefer him on difficult courses. Don't like him here. I get it as having a young child. He has a young child. It takes away a lot of maybe kind of energy spent working. But then also, and he's talked about it kind of in awe of like being around Tiger, and he's paired with Tiger, I believe. So maybe I'm just justifying it not to play, but so I have some question marks there.
No, you know what? I think, Jason, this is now our 5th Masters show we've done of Fairway to Heaven. So shout out to you, Jason, for putting up with me for 5 Masters. November Masters was the first Fairway to Heaven episode ever. So this is now 5 Masters that we've done now. We talked about this, I think, last year, Jason, the Tiger effect. Now, Tiger comes out and says he thinks he can win if everything works out. Whatever. I mean, Tiger is great for golf. When he's there, more eyes are on it. But I think we had this conversation that there is a Tiger effect at major events because a lot of these younger golfers, this current generation of golfers, they grew up watching Tiger. They have to be in awe, don't they?
Yeah, they're in awe. Plus, the crowds are going to be bigger around Tiger always. So, yeah, I think there's a lot that goes into it, too. And I think that's why you see a lot of guys that, especially guys that are in that tier, it's like that's a lot of pressure to play with him. And you've even seen guys like, I used to think that was like a motivating factor almost. Like a lot of the times they'll pair JT with him because they're buddies. And I would always like play JT thinking like, oh, he's going to step up his game for around Tiger. And it just seems like it never happens that way. So that's an interesting factor. It's like one of those, like, you can't really quantify it, but it seems like there's more to it.
I mean,
Rory talks about that when he was at the Genesis a year or two ago, or maybe it was this year, Rory said there's a 2-shot difference, like penalty you get when you pair with Tiger. Now that seems very extreme, but just the point that Rory is aware of the Tiger effect in a negative way.
Can Tiger make the cut, guys? Let's just jump right to that question. You think he can make the cut, Rob?
Yeah, I bet him to make the cut because I was talking with Joe at Blatant Golf yesterday, and I was like, if it's minus 110, I'm going to bet it. And I saw on DK it's plus 100, so I put a healthy amount on Tiger to make the cut.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no on the making the cut there, just
Wow.
because I've had similar injuries to him, and with the wind and the cooler, was it Friday or Saturday? It's supposed to be a little cooler. That
But
makes
have you
that
given up
leg.
sex though?
What's? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So have you given up sex though?
Not on purpose.
There you go. Because if you did that, then you went the full Tiger effect, and if that didn't do anything for you, so then maybe I'll try to cancel my bet.
No, listen, Tiger always plays good in the first couple rounds. It just seems like he runs
Yeah.
out of steam. So I like that bet to make the cut too.
You know, it's weird though, because it's plus 100 or whatever it is on DK for him to make the cut, but it's minus, I think it's 120 for him to finish in the top 40. So you're getting better money for him to make the cut and then not worry about where he finishes
Right.
versus the other direction, which is kind of weird. But, I like how that played out there. Sorry, we don't have to talk about Tiger. Because Tiger, I love his confidence that he has saying he can win. But, realistically speaking, you're not making any money playing or not playing or betting or not betting unless he makes the cut, like Rob says, this week. So that's just my thought on it. So where am I here on the board here? All right. So anybody else? So I think we've covered most of the 8K range. I love a couple names in the 7K range. Matthew Fitzpatrick. I love where his game is right now. So Jason, we'll let you start this time. Give me a name in the 7K range that you're really, in love with.
Well, you just stole my thunder.
No,
Well,
I didn't say anything. I just said I love him. He was my
Fitz is my
all-in play
favorite.
last week. So I made a lot of money in DFS last week by him backdooring that top 20. That we'll just say that.
Top
I
10.
didn't give up on him.
Top
What's that?
10. It was top 10.
Yeah, well, yeah, I thought it was 11, but maybe it was top 10. But that
Maybe.
backdoor there, those last two rounds, helped me a lot, and I stuck with him in showdown. So that really helped me a lot.
It's funny because we were texting on Friday, freaking out that he wasn't going to make the cut, and he
Yep.
made the cut on the number, and then he ended up, T10. I mean,
Yep.
he's solid. I like him the most out of this range. I feel like that's a little bit of a misprice. I feel like we could see him in the low 8Ks, and that wouldn't be much of an issue at all. I know everybody's in on Thigala this week, which I like him too, but I just think Fitzpatrick's my favorite for sure.
Rob, in that 7K range there.
Yeah, I was going to say Fitzpatrick too, but now I'm getting a little – I said it last night. I'm getting a little worried because he is gathering a lot of steam. I was hoping for like 13% ownership. I don't know if we're going to get that. But, yeah, I said last night that he might be my highest owned player, but I don't know. But a guy that I do really like, and shout out to Sim Labs, they really like him too this week, and that's Hatton at 7,600. So really, really like Hatton. And I'm not a Fleetwood guy. I fade him all the time, but I think I'm going to jump on the Tommy Ladd kind of train right now. And then also kind of a dark horse at 7,300 who I'm going to be overweight on, and that's Minwoo Lee. I really like, and this is more of a gut feeling, really like Minwoo this week at 7,300. A lot of top 5 equity. In my opinion.
Are you okay?
I have two names starred on my so I have my player pool, I have my maybes and stars, and I have my handwritten notes. And there's only 2 7K names starred on here: Fitzpatrick and Minwoo Lee.
Can I ask you both a question? Are you guys okay with? Do you see Minwoo has a broken finger?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, I didn't see that.
He came out today.
I'm putting a question mark there right now.
He broke his finger 2 weeks ago working out. Apparently, he said he's a full go for Augusta, but. We'll see.
So me and Jason Rob were texting a lot this weekend during the event because I've had a terrible year, DFS and betting wise. I mean, it's been my worst year since I started doing golf 5 years ago. But I was all in on Batella last week. I had a big bet on him. Broke my side, made a lot of money on DFS on him. He's got the dislocated shoulder. If you see this week leading up to it that he's healthy and he's swinging in practice rounds, okay. Me and Jason were talking. I said he reminds me of his creativeness, not the player itself, but the creative way he shapes shots a lot like Bubba Watson, which to me equals a great opportunity at the Masters. If his shoulder's okay, what are your thoughts on Batella and that comparison to Bubba and the awkward swing, the creativeness, et cetera, with his swing?
Yeah, well, so like Bubba and him, they're both, you're right, very creative. That's a good kind of comparison, good comp. Now at their games and how they get creative a little different. Bubba being left-hander and would play a little bit of a fade, and that's Augusta's perfect for a left-hander in that way. Ashkay is a right-hander and also plays a fade, so that is very different. 2 different ball flights there. But you're right, Ashkay can move it in all directions. He's an excellent ball striker. I just worry. about with him. Like, there's a pro and a con. First, I worry about I saw him Monday live he was on, being interviewed. He's had a press conference today. A lot of media time after a win with your first time kind of playing the Masters. So a little worried about that, but also with it being so windy Thursday and Friday, shout out to Michael Kim on Twitter, who's a great follow. But he talks about he's noticed with Ashkay that he's an excellent wind player. Like, he won in Bermuda and he won in the Bahamas on the Korn Ferry Tour, both very windy tournaments. Windy last week in Texas and won. So if the wind is up, Ashkay is a big play. Yeah, you're just wondering, has he got enough of the property? People talk about you got to save your energy for Augusta. What's his energy going to be? What's his health fitness? So some question marks, but then also, a lot to like with him.
Yeah, to me, he's a strong option if he's healthy enough, DFS wise, under 10%. But we've seen it. Nobody's ever won that. Well, I think the original golf winner of the Masters won their first time, but that's it. Nobody ever wins their first time. So that I would never bet him in any shape, but I think he's pretty close to a lock to make the cut if his shoulder is okay. Jason?
I just pulled up his player profile to look at something else, and the number that jumped off the page to me was that he's 6'1", 130 pounds. It's so skinny.
I was watching the final round. My wife's like, "Who is that dude?" And I feel like if you blew, like Augusta wind can knock him down.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Any other names, guys, in that 7K range? We kind of blew through the 7K real quickly, but they're my main plays, so I don't have much else in that range there.
I just have one. Russell Henley really pops for me. Henley, I just feel I was kind of hoping that his ownership would be low. It looks like it's not going to be low, which kind of sucks a little bit. If he's actually 16.5%, it's not going to be a play for me. But I really did like him coming into this week.
Okay. Rob,
I think he will be popular, and popular for a good reason. Yeah, I'm just going to say Siwoo Kim at 7K. I don't know, 7-1, and then Harris English. I'm kind of high on Harris English at 7K.
I seem to get. I know we all have it, and we shouldn't feel that way, but Harris English is just a guy I get wrong, to use the lingo there, every single time. When I play him, he misses a cut. When I don't play him, he wins. So if you're going to play him, Rob, I'll just fade him to help you out there a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, how about any real quick here, because we're taking a long time here. I don't want to take too much of Rob's time tonight. You each get one name in the 6K. Is there anybody in the 6K that you guys would even I mean, if you're playing Scottie Scheffler, you're going to have to dabble in the 6K a little bit. And some of these guys are going to make the cut. You got anybody, Rob?
Yeah, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to give you three just real quick, and then this is the order. Really like Cam Davis, really like him, like Bubba, and I like Kitayama, who's burned some people here lately, but like him, and if there was a consolation, Gary Woodland.
Okay, gotcha. Jason?
Two quick ones for me. Sepp Straka is my favorite, and then Chris Kirk also.
Chris Kirk is on my list of names. I haven't decided whether I'm going to play him or not, but the Masters, you kind of gotta make putts. You got to do certain things. I can't believe Denny McCarthy at 31 years old has never played in the Masters, or at least not in the last 5 years. Like, to me, that's shocking that he's never qualified. And as long as his irons are working and he's hitting his shots, I know he had a big letdown on Sunday, losing in the playoffs, dunking that ball in the water. But I watched that entire back nine of Denny McCarthy last week. And I'm just like, oh man. And I saw his price at 6,200.
Yep.
I mean, there's seniors in this event that are priced higher than him.
Yeah.
To me, that's a pretty shocking number, even for a first timer like Denny McCarthy.
Agreed. I love him too. Not this week. I just love him in general.
Yeah. Rob, do you feel that? Do you play into the mental side of things? Someone like Batella winning, you talked about how all the extra media availability could affect him. The collapse, if you want to call it that, on the first playoff hole, would you take that into account with Denny this week?
No, it kind of depends. I think with Ashkay, it's a little different. If this was any other tournament, like if Hilton Head was this week, I wouldn't even consider like Ashkay. I'd probably just play him. But everyone talks about how like the first time on a tournament at Augusta National, the emotions, and so Ashkay coming off a win, media availability, all that, and people say how much of exhausting walk Augusta is. I'm just concerned, but not so much concerned with Denny. I'm not going to play Denny. He was on fire Sunday. He's a great putter, but his irons can get very leaky. And first time around Augusta National, put yourself in the wrong place, and you don't know to not be there. I just worry that he could find a lot of trouble. But also, I mean, hey, he could still be informed from Sunday, so I don't want to talk you guys off him.
Well, we'll see. I'm not going to get too crazy with those little guys. I just also look at the ownership of some of these guys, and I cross off. I've already written down, like, you've got Olafable, Singh, Weir, all the the seniors that have no real chance. You've got the amateurs that I know. Sam Bennett had a deep run last year, through the third round, but most of those amateurs don't stand a chance. So you're crossing off 10, 12 guys right off the bat. That puts you at 77 guys. Ballpark 60, top 15 ties make it. So all you got to do is avoid 12 or 14 guys missing the cut, and then you've got your 6 for 6s and have a better chance at some strong cashes and GPPs. That's just how I look at it. So I give myself, maybe I'm wrong for doing this, but I give myself a little bit more risk in the Masters in the 6K. I play more of the top 9,500 and above, and more of the 75 and below this week. That's just always been my Masters strategy.
I like it. I think that's smart.
All right, so something we do on this show, Rob, we do lineups. We build a lineup, no copycat. So, if you pick a guy, Rob, I can't pick that guy. So there's, it's what it is. Jason, what is the record of me, you, and guests this year so far?
So we had a real barn burner last week.
Yeah, we had a barn burner last
my
week.
My 3 of 6 took out your 4 of 6. It was not a good week for you.
Dude, I had 16, 15, or 5 of 6 or 6 of 6 lineups last week. The only one that was bad was the one we did head-to-head.
Can I just tell you that I didn't tell you this even, but after day 1, my lineup was in 4th place in the $1, and then it ended up only having 3 of 6 make the cut. So not a good week.
That's why we love golf DFS right there.
But I'm up 7-5 against you, and the guests have won 1 also.
So, Rob, the guests have only won 1 time. So this lineup is really on you to kind of
sway in the favor. You do realize they're 1 for 2, right? So it's not like the same odds.
3 guests on the show so far.
We've only had 2 guests. So
okay, we've only had 2. All right. So this is the third chance. Third chance to get on the column here.
Yeah, Rob's going first, Rob second, and I'm going third.
I'm sorry, what you say there, Jason?
Rob's going first, you're going second, I'm going third.
All right, that's it. Rob, you get the first pick on the board here to build lineups and see how.
Pretty obvious. Yeah, going Scottie.
Scottie Scheffler. That's a pretty obvious, way to go. I'm sorry, Jason. Did you say I'm up next or you?
You're up. Yep.
All right, sorry, I got to write down his. All right, so if he's going Scottie, I'm going Wyndam Clark. I'm going to start still at the top, but I'm going to go with the other guy, Windy there.
I'm going the opposite direction. I'm going to go Siwoo. I'm going low.
Siwoo.
Oh, I got 2 picks. Sorry.
Yeah,
I got 2 picks. I'm going to go Siwoo, and I'm going to go Fitz.
Taking Fitz off the board from me right there. All right. Well, see, I'm gonna go what I said I'm gonna do, high and low. I'll go Minwoo Lee because again, keep it low.
Not scared of the finger injury, huh?
Oh, I mean, if he gets withdrawals before it locks, I can change it.
Sure. Good point.
Rob, you can go 2 picks here now.
All right.
Sneak style.
I got 2 picks. So I got Cam Young and then Tyrell Hatton.
What is Hatton's price this week? You mentioned him, and he wasn't on my radar. Where is he?
7,600, I think.
Yep, 76.
Good price. That is a good price right there. All right. Let's see. What are we gonna do here? I got 8,100 left, so I keep it low here. I'm gonna go Steven Yeager.
Yeager bomb.
Yeah, I do actually like. I don't think he has any chance at winning, but I think he's got enough upside to be a good enough scorer this week, DraftKings wise.
Can you tell me Rob's 2 picks again? Sorry.
Yeah, Rob was Scottie, Cam Young, and Tyrell Hatton.
Cam Young, that was the one I missed. Okay, and Hatton. Okay, cool. And then who was your pick? Sorry, it's my first time.
Lee Yeager. Pay attention, Jason. Amateur hour here.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, I'm gonna go Thigala with my first one.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go with. I'm going to go Xander.
Okay. All right. I see, this is working out perfectly for me because I know exactly how this lineup's playing. So Sam Burns is my 4th pick right there because I love Sam Burns this week. I really do. All right. Rob, you are
Am I up?
Yep, 2 more picks for you. Pick 4 and 5.
All right. I'm going Kurt Kitayama.
Nice.
And then Shane Lowry.
I'm telling you, I'm playing this lineup. Whatever he does, I'm listening to Rob and I'm playing this lineup right there. No problem. No questions at all. All right. So my 5th pick, I'm going to keep it in the middle there at 8,200 and go Bryson DeChambeau.
Bryson, nice.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with the strategy. I'm going to go with a lot this week. I'm going to pair Xander with Hovland.
Xander with Hovland. It's an interesting pairing. I like it, though. Again, the high-owned and the low-owned, both guys will make the cut. Both will score a lot for you. All right,
then I'm going to do my steal, and I'm going to steal Hatton. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to do
– I forgot about that.
I'll do Fleetwood as my last pick.
Okay, Fleetwood. I like his lineup already better than yours, Jason. Sorry. I'll just tell you that.
Thanks. I like Rob better than you as a person, so there we go.
Thanks. I appreciate that, too. Yeah. All right, so I got 9,300 left with my last pick, and I'm gonna leave a decent amount left on the table, and I'm going to go. I think Rob, you said it before. You really like Dustin Johnson this week. I kind of do too. So I'm gonna go Dustin Johnson with my last pick there. So my lineup's Wyndham Clark, Minwoo Lee, Steven Yeager, Sam Burns, Bryson DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson. It's a good place to start my lineup building with right there.
Yes, sir. And my last pick, I'm going to go Cam Davis. That leaves 500 remaining salary. It's a good amount. So Cam Davis, Hatton, Kitayama, Lowry, Scheffler, and Cam Young.
Yeah, Lowry. I don't know why Lowry was not on my list because I always love Lowry in majors, but the Hatton play, you made a really strong argument for him. So out of all the names you mentioned, he's the one that's probably getting added to my player pool here after today. So watch his ownership jump, big time after I do that. So.
Right. Glad I could help.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, so this was our lineup building brought to you by Fantasy Golf Pods. Check out Chad and the boys over there, good friends of the show. They sponsor that segment on our show, 420 on Wednesdays, cracking beers, talking golf, DFS, and it's Masters Week. So why wouldn't you watch them this week? So that's Fantasy Golf Pod and also obviously FantasyNational.com. Rob, me and Jason do we're doing a one and done competition this year. I jumped out to an early lead. Jason destroyed me the last couple of weeks. So we're going to each do our one and dones, and you're going to tell us which one of our one and dones has the best chance of either putting me back on top or Jason, wherever. Where are we at now, Jason?
You're actually back on top. You had Fitz last week, and I had Horschel. We were about dead even going into last week, and you had my guy missed the cut. So you are $203,000 up right now.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so you're up on it. So, or you can go if you want with your one and done. Who are you going with?
I'm going to go with the only time I would feel comfortable using this guy the whole year. I'm going to go Jordan Spieth.
Gotcha. We didn't really talk about Jordan this week. I don't know. I'm going to go with one of the LIV guys for my one and done because I've only got 3 or 4 options with them, and I am going to go Bryson DeChambeau. He was one of my, a couple weeks ago. Who did we have on that said jump on Bryson? Stewie said it in the comment section. Jump on Bryson at that number. I did as well as you did. So I like Bryson this week. I think Bryson's got a good shot. So Bryson's my one and done this week. So Bryson, or who'd you pick again, Jason?
Spieth.
Spieth. Who's got the better chance, Rob, of finishing higher this week?
Man, I love the Bryson play as DFS, but I just got to go with Spieth. Course history, good form. But I don't want to poo-poo on the Bryson play. Again, we talked about him in the show. I do like that, but it's hard to pass up Spieth in Augusta.
Yeah. There's been a lot of negative energy towards Jordan Spieth this week. What is it that's got, everybody off of Jordan Spieth? Is it just, his recent play? Is it the injuries? The wrist has been bothering him? A combination of all of it? We were talking, my wife and I, recently about Jordan Spieth because, she tries to pretend to care about what I talk about. And, something about his attitude has just rubbed a lot of people the wrong way as well. Rob, what are your thoughts on the Jordan Spieth narrative in general, not just this week?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been following much of the narrative. I like Spieth. I like Spieth as a golfer, as a person. He's entertaining. He's so much fun when you have him rostered or you have him bet and he's doing Spieth things. It's miserable when you fade him. But I'm on this week.
The roller coaster.
Yeah, the roller coaster. If you guys had to pick one guy that you think that you're most confident, you had to put all your money, all your DFS money, all your betting money, and the ultimate confidence. Is it Scottie Scheffler, or is it somebody else? Jason?
It's Scottie. I mean, that's the cop out, but it's Scottie.
Yeah, it
For
is.
sure.
Rob?
I think it's somebody else. So it's like the field versus Scottie. I'll go with the field.
Yeah. I mean, I still cannot believe when I saw that stat earlier that the last 18 winners were not the betting favorite to win.
Yeah,
So crazy. Does that scare anybody from Scottie? I don't know, but I put my bet. I once I saw that, I changed my bet from Scottie to Jon Rahm. I was going to put half of my betting on one of the favorites, and I went Jon Rahm to repeat, which I know never happens, but I'd rather go Jon Rahm than Scottie Scheffler with a big bet. So that's the way I went.
The only counterpoint to that I would say is I don't think golf has seen the number one player in the world have this much of a gap between the other players in a long time. I feel like I don't want to compare him to Tiger necessarily because I don't think he's at that point yet, but like we're seeing a huge gap between Scottie and everybody else at the moment.
Well, Jason, we talked about this about a month ago before he started winning again, that if he figured out how to putt, he could go on a Tiger Woods level run. Rob, do you think Scottie Scheffler can come? I know nobody's ever going to be Tiger Woods again, but can he go on a run where he wins? He's already won, 3 times this year, where he wins 2 or 3 majors in a year? Now that he's figured the putting aspect of it out, is he that good?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. And I think the strokes gained stats would back that up. Like he could win, I don't know, in 1 year, but like he's going to get the career Grand Slam, and he's a Hall of Famer. And so he can win multiple majors in a year. Now, shout out. So I'll give you Valhalla, where the PGA Championship is next month, is right in my backyard, and that is just a Scottie course. It's long. It's penal in the rough. This is the bluegrass state, so bluegrass is going to be high, and it's tricky around the greens. Like that is Scottie's forte. So I might just have one outright next month of the PGA Championship, and it's just Scottie. So keep an eye out for that.
No, that's great information right there. I might go do that now. Maybe I'll do the same thing. I don't know. Rob, it's been a while since we've had you on the show, obviously. Obviously, a lot of life changes for you personally and professionally. What do you got going on nowadays? I mean, you got a young kid now, You need any parenting advice from Jason over here?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, Jason's like, boy, every time you post a picture, he just looks older and older. So, my guy's still young. He turns 2 in July. So just, raising him, working, and I miss it. I'm still on Twitter. I'm just kind of lurking. I don't interact as much, which is kind of nice as well, because not you all, but some of the people on Twitter are kind of it's just too like nasty and crazy. And there's a lot of good people like yourself. So I miss the good, but don't miss the bad. But also I'll just lean into the miss the interactions and hanging out with you all like this, talking golf. So maybe do it again sometime in the future.
Absolutely. We appreciate you having it on. And, we said it before the show. We were chatting for a few seconds. I guess I have to say I'm sorry that John Calipari is no longer in Kentucky.
Thank you.
I thought we were going to cheer. But I guess we'll say I'm sorry that you're in mourning about John Calipari.
Thank you for that.
I also want to say, can we put him on the spot real quick? Can we say who is going to be the next Kentucky coach?
Gosh, that's great. So a lot of people think Nate Oates. A lot of people think Billy Donovan. I don't know, but I've been telling people this, like, look out for like Bruce Pearl. I don't know if it's who I want, but I think he's going to try to weasel his way in. When he was between Tennessee and Auburn, he kept hyping up the Kentucky job. So I think he's going to make a push at it.
Yeah. Interesting.
If you're going to throw some names out there, I haven't heard of, some of those names in a while, like Donovan and all. How about Jay Wright? Jay Wright doesn't want to go to the pros.
He said
he's kind of chilling in his
got
mansion on the main line outside of Philly. You know what I mean? Like maybe Kentucky's the big type of program that takes him from local hero to national hero.
Maybe so. I would not dislike that. I'm a big Jay Wright guy.
Yeah, Jay Wright. We miss Jay Wright in the Philadelphia area massively. So yeah, there's that. Guys, thank you all for tuning in to Fairway to Heaven again. We got Rob down here, DFS RC Gilt. If you want to shoot him a follow, Jason Sullivan. Next week is pending show-wise. I am in the process of moving, as you can see. Well, you can't see because I had to put a background behind me. I'll change my background here real quick. Back to the regular. This is what we're working with right now because my house is completely empty right now as we're moving. So So post a move on Sunday. If all goes well, Jason and I will be back next Tuesday night for the event. If there's some hiccups in moving, we might have to skip next week, guys. We're going to play it by ear. But we got one final person tuning in at the last second saying JT to win, Brendan. That's a bold take right there. But I appreciate your comments. Guys, make sure you tune in every week on Tuesdays at 6 o'clock normally. Thank you to Rob for tuning in. We miss you, Rob. We need you back doing shows and content someday, at least once in a while, at least around the Masters or around the majors and stuff like that.
Amen.
All right, guys,
Appreciate
we will see you next week. And everybody have a great week, and we will talk soon, guys. And guys, I got to put the green jacket away. I'm so disappointed in it.